Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for Books in Focus. It's August, so today we're going to be talking about exciting books coming out in September. We always like to start out, I guess I should say my name is Nicole, I'll be joined by Christine and Jenny. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop us, or funny comments. We like to start with what we call instant bestsellers. We know these things are going to end up on the bestseller list. We hope that there's some of your favorite authors that you might be inclined to check out. We're giving you the heads up to get on hold for them. The newest one from Dean Koontz is about Vita, who was raised in the wilderness by her late uncle, and she has an affinity for nature, especially wolves. The love of her life has died tragically, but she's not buying the story, and she will not rest until goodness and order have been restored in her community. Here, One Moment by Leah Moriarty, who wrote Big Little Lies, Nine Perfect Strangers. If you know your future, would you try and fight your fate? 6 plane passengers have decided how to manage their lives after they've been told how and when they will die. The death lady on their plane has forecasted their future. And they all, of course, say, that's crazy, that's silly, that's just a gimmick, until her forecasts start coming true. The latest from J.A. Jance, J.P. Beaumont is back. His grandson shows up on his doorstep looking for a relocation away from home because his parents find he's driving him crazy. And a friend from J.P. Beaumont's past needs help with what appears to be an accidental death. Nicholas Sparks has a new one out. Main character Tanner was raised by his grandparents. His grandmother's at the end of her life, and she tells Tanner her final wish is for him to find where he belongs. And then she drops a bombshell on him. Yes. Let's see, Bad Liar. It's not on here. Which is obnoxious. But I'll blame someone who's not here. I know nothing about Lee Child's Safe Enough because I was supposed to tell you about Tammy Hoag's Bad Liar. I hope no other mysteries in our near future. Lee Child writes a great mystery, and this one looks like a standalone. Usually he writes a series, so check out Safe Enough. They're
and
clearly
other stories. So
and other stories.
Short stories.
This title here, he's burying a body, I guess, out of the back of the car. Moving on to Life Impossible by Matt Haig, who wrote the bestseller, The Midnight Library. In this one, retired math teacher Grace is left a run-down house in the Mediterranean from a friend that she had lost touch with over the years. She buys a one-way ticket and is looking forward to new adventures, and she is in for some wild surprises. Readers can't wait to read more. Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout. It'll be autumn in Maine, and reoccurring characters Bob Burgess is back for the difficult murder investigation. He will meet some of her other characters that we all know, Lucy Barton and Olive Kitteridge, and life will change, and they'll all discuss the meaning of life. We Solve Murders from the best-selling author of the Thursday Night Murder Club. This is going to be the first in a new series he's trying out. Main character Steve is enjoying quiet, retired life, done with all that ridiculous, unpredictable, and hard investigation work. His daughter-in-law Amy is in private security, and she finds a dead body. She calls on Steve for help. So next we have some nonfiction picks that you'll want to check out as well.
Nonfiction selection. We're going to start with By the Fire We Carry by Rebecca Nagel. This is indigenous history, recounts generations of the long fight for tribal rights and sovereignty in eastern Oklahoma. Exposes both the wrongs of our nation and the native-led battle for justice that's been ongoing. Atlas Obscura Wildlife is, there's a series of these, and I was hoping it would give me a little cheat line. I can't remember what the other ones were. Wildlife, though, is going to feature over 500 plants, animals, and natural phenomena from Antarctica deserts to lush jungles, deep oceans, and densest cities. It invigorates our sense of wonder, awe, and amazement as we think about all these different conditions that exist on our planet. Kingmaker is the story of Pamela Churchill Harriman. Oh, Becky, you already know some of the story.
A little bit.
Yeah. She was new to me, and Becky chuckled right away. So,
She's quite a character.
she is, yes. What an
And she
interesting
was
character.
She was a real person.
Yes, a real person. She was married to Randolph Churchill. She
That's
is,
one of many.
yes. That's only her first last name in this line. She's Becky should do the review. John said maybe you should do the review. You're really helping me. You're really helping me out, Becky. I appreciate you. But yes, she is a character. She was married many times. She's described as a political activist for the Democratic Party, among other things. She was a strategist, a seductress, a diplomat, a charming peace negotiator. And this story is told with novelistic richness and investigative rigor, which is a credit to Miss Sonia Purnell, who writes the book. It sounds like it will be a lot of fun. The next one is The Small and the Mighty. Stories I think all of us love. This is about a cast of improbable champions who changed the course of U.S. history from our founding to the Civil Rights Movement. Heartfelt portraits of 12 ordinary Americans whose courage formed the character of our country. And those should be 12 very interesting stories. We also have Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard with Confronting the Presidents. This is, all 45 presidents are represented. They're entertaining and insightful portraits of each president and their wives. So hopefully some of the little off the beaten path stories will come through in that book. Lovely One by Ketanji Brown Jackson. A memoir inviting readers into the life of our Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. It's about her experience, her public life, advancing in a career dominated by people who do not look at all like her, balancing that career with her family, and the trials and triumphs of trying to make it all happen. This is an open-hearted tale that will spread hope for generations to come. And her story, or her name, Ketanji, she has a middle name, but I can't remember what it was, but her name means lovely one, and that's where the title came from. It was selected by her godmother. Who Could Ever Love You? A family memoir by Mary Trump. Okay, let me tell y'all what this is about.
Gee, I wonder who.
You can help me. Jump on in here, Becky, anytime you want. All right, so this is my description in my own words. A family divided by its patriarch's relentless drive for money, power, and the toll on their son, who always left his father wanting, as well as subsequent generations. Period. And good looking cooking. Dolly Parton and Rachel Parton George. Obviously they're sisters. The name, they look just a lot alike too. 80 recipes for a year of celebration, and they're going to share with us a lifetime of family, friends, and good food. A lot of sort of down-home recipes. Biscuits and gravy, meatloaf, mac and cheese, those kinds of things are being represented in there. Okay.
I apologize in advance for my hiccups, but they just are part of me, so I think you guys are used to it for the most part. Okay, so our first one is Colored Television by Dan Zucena. It is out on September 3rd. Jane and her family received the opportunity of a lifetime to house sit in Los Angeles, the perfect place for our biracial protagonist Jane to finish her latest novel. This novel is a wild ride filled with sharp satire and likable characters that focuses on motherhood, marriage, race, and class, and making it in Hollywood. My favorite line from the summary that I saw online, things finally seem to be going right for Jane until they go terribly wrong. This is a fun page turner with characters that feel like authentic, normal people just trying to make it. Our first read alike, which you might recognize, is 7 Days in June. Eva Mercy is a single mother and best-selling author of erotica novels dealing with raising a child, finishing her latest book, and chronic migraines all in one. When attending a literary event, Eva reconnects with her long-lost love from childhood, setting off a chain of events that neither is prepared for. Part love story, part coming of age, Eva Mercy and Shane Hall's story spans past and present in this humorous, warm, and steamy contemporary novel about Black life, second chances, and motherhood, and trying to make it. The second read alike is Margot's Got Money Troubles by Ruthie Thorpe. I want to read this one, it sounds really fun. Enter Margot, the love child of a Hooters waitress and ex-pro wrestler, as she struggles to navigate life and motherhood all by herself. When her estranged father comes back into the picture, Margot uses this as an opportunity to make cash online with an OnlyFans that turns into a success overnight. Could this be the answer to all of her problems, or will her new online fame come with too high of a price? This is an endearing and witty story filled with real and relatable characters that will warm your heart and leave you laughing out loud. All of these are stories of women just trying to make it. Next, we have The Shadow Key by Susan Stokes Chapman. It is coming out on September 9th, and it is categorized as historical fiction. In this Gothic historical mystery, something is amiss in the village of Penhelig, Wales, where belief in magic and myth is the norm. Dr. Henry Talbot has just been dismissed from his prestigious hospital post when he learns his predecessor died of mysterious circumstances. Enter Lynette, who lives a lonely life in the village and has always suspected things aren't quite what they seem. This duo will come together in this well-researched, atmospheric novel filled with twists and turns to solve the case and bring the village's secrets to life. Our first read alike is The Silence Factory by Bridget Collins. It actually will come out on Tuesday. It is a Gothic historical mystery steeped in secrets, magic, desire, and corruption that will transport you to 1820s Greece and back to present day in this dual timeline novel about a powerful family and their dark and dangerous silk fortune. In 1820, Sophia Ashmore Percy, a mouthful of a name, and her husband stumble across and discover a rare magical breed of spider. The spider's silk shield sounds offering wearers peace and tranquility. But for those who get too close to the outer silk are victims to eerie murmurs that grow with proximity to the silk and make you go crazy. Enter Henry, an audiologist in present day who is sent to aid Edward Ashmore Perry, a long descendant of our original character, and his young daughter's deafness. What ensues is a dark, sensual tale with surprising twists that will captivate you to the very end. The next read alike is King Nix, which I just love the cover. This haunting Gothic mystery will transport you to 1918 in this strange and atmospheric read set on an isolated island that centers around the disappearances of 3 missing young women, told from main character Anna's point of view in both present day and flashbacks. This is a historical, Gothic, psychological thriller all in one, with just a sprinkling of the supernatural to keep you coming back for more.
On the Shadow Key, it says the top author of Pandora. Is she the same author wrote a book called Pandora?
Yes, it looks like, I'm not sure that we have that title, I could look into it though.
Oh, okay.
I want to say this might be her first into like the historical foray, but all of her covers do have a very similar style, so I would probably be able to pick them out.
Okay.
Death at the Sign of the Roof will be hitting the shelves on the 3rd of September. This is the 6th in the Jackson Brodie series by Kate Atkinson, who, as an aside, she wrote one of my favorite books ever called A God in Ruins. But I've not read the Jackson Brodie series. This is a mystery that takes place in Yorkshire, England. This charming, clever mystery pays homage to genre masters with a unique landscape crafted by Atkinson. Aristocrats and old friends art theft and a murder mystery weekend, and take ex-detective Brody on from a boring assignment to a spiral into solving a murder at the former Burton Makepeace estate. Time describes this book as irresistible and unputdownable. And I think that's a word they made up. For read-alikes, I brought Kate Atkinson's Case Histories, which is the first Jackson Brody novel, and it is available. I think we have all of them. And then also Agatha Christie, and Then There Were None, the very classic, old school, probably what Atkinson was looking back on when she brought these folks together to write this mystery where people begin to disappear. Next I have Roddy Doyle. This one will be coming out on the 10th. The Women Behind the Door. This is number 3 in the Paula Spencer series. This is a novel of regrets, reparations, and reconciliations. So 66-year-old Paula is our protagonist. She's finally living her life and pushing her past aside, until her oldest daughter shows up at her doorstep and tells her mom that she is leaving her successful, affluent marriage and life behind. She does not want that anymore. As she confides her secrets to her mom, the mother and daughter must untangle the past together to confront who they want to be. A delicate portrait of shame and its inescapable shadows cast over families. Roddy Doyle won the Booker Prize in 1993 for a book called Patty Clark Ha Ha Ha, which we don't have, but I just thought I'd mention it because the title is very clever. We do have, however, Love by Roddy Doyle, which two old friends reconnect in Dublin for an evening of drinking and storytelling. And also, to highlight the mother-daughter story, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. That has to be one of the books that kept me the most intrigued until I finally read it, because I thought the title was very interestingly horrifying. But when you read it, it's complicated, and it's worth a read if you're interested in that sort of mother-daughter relationship. It isn't. She doesn't come off as mean and smart alecky at all. That's not how she writes the book.
So Snake Oil, we'll get to know some interesting new characters, including Rhonda, who is the CEO of Radical, a fast-growing wellness company for women. Rhonda's very involved in promoting her brand. She's got great fans, she's got rave reviews, she's really loud and out there, and enjoyable, kind of charismatic leader type. Danny is a quester, which is one of the names of Radical's big followers and their fans. Danny takes an entry-level job to be near to the wellness group that she's such a fan of, and she volunteers to test new supplements. Cecilia is a quasher. She works in customer service, and she is really starting to get sick of the entitled customers, the made-up jargon, and the smiling hypocrisy of it all. She knows what Rhonda is selling isn't curing much. Rhonda announces more fundraising that could make the company worth billions, until an anonymous social media account begins spilling snarky secrets and gossip. Tensions rise and loyalties clash, and the company kind of gets out of control when there's a crime scene. Page-turning suspense and a dark skewering of startup culture, Snake Oil is an exploration of ambition in the wellness world. It made me think of Natural Beauty, which came out earlier this year, which is a razor-sharp, twisty novel about a virtuoso pianist that has to abandon her dreams, and she takes a job working in the wellness, high-end wellness business. She gets drawn in by the fancy products and a charismatic leader as well, with a surprise ending. The girl in the rearview mirror, is the story of a young nanny who accepts a dazzling new job for a glamorous family, only to be drawn further and further into their web of secrets. Ava Glass's newest one, The Trap, is about British spy main character Emma. She has just 1 week to stop a killer. She's headed to the G7 summit, and her team gets a tip about a Russian assassin and a big plan they have. They know some of the details, but they don't know who the target is. Surrounded by powerful political leaders in a gridlocked city, Emma and her team set a risky trap to engage with the killers. James Patterson describes this main character, Emma, as a female James Bond, and the author, Ava Glass, is a former crime reporter. So it sounds very intriguing to me. Maybe check out Ava Glass's first book, which has Emma barely out of basic training and thrown on assignment to smuggle a handsome Russian dissident out of London and into protective custody. It also made me think of Ruth Ware's 0 Days. Main characters Jack and Gabe are experts at breaking into buildings and security systems, but an assignment goes wrong and one of them will not make it to the end of the book.
The Haunting of Moscow House is a horror story by Elisa Salmakova Gilmore. Takes place in Moscow, 1921. A Gothic tale set in post-revolutionary Russia about unearthing the secrets of Moscow House, which will reveal all, but will require sisters Irina and Lily to dig into a past that no living person is allowed to remember. The aristocratic family harbors a dangerous past and long-buried secrets, and the young sisters are trying to survive in their new reality. Gilmore also gave us, I believe it was 2 years ago, The Witch and the Tsar. That is a retelling of the Baba Yaga myth, and Baba Yaga risks all to save her people from Tsar Ivan the Terrible. And then, as another read-alike, We Used to Live Here by Marcus Clearward. This is also about a house with secrets. A young couple buys a mansion in the mountains. They're settling in, becoming very happy there, and the former occupants appear at their door and say, "Hey, we used to live here. Can we come in and look around?" And they can't get rid of them. And weird things begin to happen. So that sounds like a good mystery also. The Mesmerist by Carolyn Woods. This is Minneapolis in 1894. Spiritualism is all the rage, and women are dying under mysterious circumstances. May is a young woman who is tasked with tracking her fellow housemate Faith and discovering her journey to Bethany House for Unwed Mothers, where they're living together. Faith appears at the house. She refuses to speak, and she will not explain her arrival. This sets the house abuzz with talk of dark magic. This story is rich with tension, suspicion, and sharp female characters. For read-alikes, I chose Miss Wood's previous publication, The Lunar Housewife, that it was inspired by a true story of a CIA intervention of Cold War American arts and letters, and also The Nightingale's Castle. This is a brand new one. I'm sorry about the name pronunciation. I think it's Elizabeth Batroy. The Blood Countess is the protagonist in The Nightingale's Castle. And it also is a place where young women are sent to be trained as serving girls. But this countess is cruel and girls are murdered. And it has a very fancy cover.
Cover doesn't match the story though. I think a lot of us will be checking out The Borrowed Life of Frederick Fife. Frederick Fife, our main character, was born with an extra scoop of kindness. If you borrowed your car, he's going to return it washed with a full tank of gas. But he's getting up there in years, and he's running out of people to borrow from, to rely on, to interact with. He's lonely, he's broke. Fred's luck all changes when he gets mistaken for the very cranky and very cantankerous Bernard Greer at the Wattle River Nursing Home. Suddenly, he has a roof over his head, he has warm meals, and he has a chance at family again, perhaps. Fred walks in Bernard's shoes, and he works on his poker face, and he also might mend a broken life while he's at it. Made me think of last year's Remarkably Bright Creatures, about unlikely friendships and a clever octopus, and the main character uncovering the story of her son's disappearance. And also on the new shelf, check out How to Age Just Gracefully. Senior Citizen Center and a daycare work to save their building. High hijinks ensue, full of heart and wit, I wrote. A Reason to See You Again by Jamie Attenberg. This one's going to focus on mother-daughter relationships as well. After their beloved patriarch passes away, the women of the Cohen family are all in crisis. Youngest daughter Shelley takes off to the West Coast and immerses herself in working, especially in the tech culture and all things going on there. Older sister Nancy swiftly gets married to a questionable salesman. And Mom Frida finds herself having a little too much fun, lots of booze, and a very unpredictable life in Miami. All the women will learn the hard way that running away from your troubles is usually not the best plan. This story begins in the 70s and spans 40 years. It's an exploration of motherhood, technology, self-help, communication, and how these things all change and impact our lives. It made me think of Attenberg's previous book, All This Could Be Yours, which is about a powerful family trying to get over their past and move on and reunite, based in New Orleans. Also on the new shelf, Long Island Compromise. It starts in the 1980s, spans 40 years, and is about a family trying to heal after their kidnapped father returns home and their lives are upended.
Next we have Where They Last Saw Her by Marcy Rendon. It is out on September 3rd, and it will be a mystery. It is a novel of trauma and injustice with a complex, strong female lead character, Quill, a Native American woman who hears a scream in the woods and is determined to uncover the truth behind the missing woman before someone else disappears. Told in a blend of past and present, this issue-oriented story filled with mystery and secrets will compel you to join the hunt for the missing woman in this fast-paced novel that focuses on the struggles of Native American women. The first read-alike is by the same author, Sinister Graves. It is her third installment in Rendon's her Cash Black Bear mystery series, which follows Cash, a young I'm going to say Native American woman because I cannot pronounce this at this moment. Young Native American woman in the 1970s as she struggles to help solve the disappearances of local Native girls and their newborn children, with the assistance of her guardian, Sheriff Wheaton. This is an unput-downable read that is well written and easily devoured, steeped in Native American history, and filled with characters that will capture you. I'd probably even maybe potentially recommend some S.A. Cosby as well, just with the pacing and the style of the story. The next read-alike would be Blood Sisters by Vanessa Lilly. It is Sid Walker, a Cherokee archaeologist for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, is summoned back home to rural Oklahoma where two young women have gone missing, one of them being her sister, Emma Lou. As Sid investigates, she uncovers a string of missing Indigenous women cases that go back decades. In order to save her sister, Sid must expose the darkness that has been growing within her hometown for years. Vastly different. Now we're Sunshine and Spice by Aurora Palette. It's out on September 10th, and it is a rom-com, so it's perfect for a long weekend or a beach read or a porch read. I loved this sentence so much from the summary and thought it summed up the book perfectly. When two complete opposites agree to fake date in order to solve their cultural dilemmas, they find the only force more powerful than an immigrant mother's matchmaking schemes might just be true love. Enter Naomi Kelly, born to a free-spirited Bengali woman but with no connection to her cultural heritage, who is determined to be a success no matter the cost. Next, enter Dev Mukherjee, who will do whatever it takes to avoid ending up in a cold, loveless, arranged marriage. What ensues is a cute and heartwarming, fast-paced story that explores the complexities of identity and culture, love and belonging, in this steamy fake dating romance. Our first is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. It is a charming fake dating romantic comedy. Danica isn't looking for love, just a good time. So when her brooding security guard, Zafir, rescues Danny from a workplace fire drill gone wrong, and the video goes viral, hence the pose on the front of the book, their fake relationship begins when Zaf asks her to play along for the publicity. When Danny starts to fall and wants a real relationship, will they be able to make their romance work? Filled with steam and witty banter, this is a perfect weekend or beach read that will have you laughing and crying. Another read-alike, Love and Other Flight Delays by Denise Williams. Also, I love how they all have matching cute cover art. These three separate romances are seamlessly woven together to create a connected story of fake dating, enemies to lovers, and second chances. In the love connection, an airport pet groomer and her frequent flyer crush find themselves in a fake dating situationship that might just lead to true love. Filled to the brim with witty banter and tension, adorable characters, these slow-burn romance stories are the perfect sweet and fluffy read to get you through the weekend, and to be a reliever from the last slide.
Okay, back to Christine's books. Precipice by Robert Harris. This is a thriller set in 1914 in London. A sexual intrigue becomes a matter of national security when a leak of top secret documents points to the Prime Minister's love affair with 26-year-old Venetia Stanley. And it's the summer of 1914, and the world is on the brink of catastrophe. So the tension is going to rise in that one. For read-alikes, Robert Harris's previous book, Act of Oblivion. This is a chase across continents after Charles I is killed in 1660. And I also included Regeneration by Pat Barker, which is from 1991, but still it's one of the best books about World War I and the impact it had on individuals. Dr. Rivers works to restore the sanity of officers that were impacted by World War I and help them get back to a positive way of life. The Eye in the Door and the Ghost Road are the other two in the Pat Barker series. That is a trilogy.
Jen, super quick. We'll just ping pong. Okay, so we have the newest novel by Tracy Anderson Wood, Catherine the Wright Sister. It is historical fiction. Meet the woman behind the scenes of the Wright brothers, Catherine, who helped her brother soar as they tinkered around to solve the problem of human flight. It is told in alternating points of view between Catherine, Wilbur, and Orville. Wood's latest novel brings us a powerful voice in this well-researched historical fiction novel filled with strong will and fascinating characters that bring to life the famous story and the details the sacrifices that women make for their family. The first read-alike is To Slip the Bonds of Earth, and it is Amanda Flower's newest. Amanda Flower, she'll be here in September.
I read that.
You read that? So as part of why I wanted to use it is because one, it's a perfect read-alike, but also she will be here next month. It is described as a mystery in the first days of flight. Flower's newest novel shines a spotlight on the lesser-known Wright sibling, Catherine. In this inventive new historical mystery series, Catherine is home in Dayton, Ohio, running the family bike shop, teaching and looking after the family all by herself. If you liked this one, stay tuned for more to come in Amanda Flower's newest series. It is also described as kind of like a cozy mystery series as well. And then our next read-alike is actually a biography. It's The Wright Brothers by David McCullough. Popular biography from two-time Pulitzer Prize winner details the dramatic and surprising story of the courageous Wright brothers who changed history in 1903. This well-researched biography also tells the story of the Wright family from mother and father to Orville and Wilbur, the ever-creative and determined duo that created flight. This biography will appeal to history and aviation fans alike. Next, we have Cozy Mystery. Yay. Forever After by Sophie Kelly. Librarian Kathleen Paulson is back and in for a spell of trouble in the 16th installment of the Magical Cat Mystery Series. Busy running a library and planning her upcoming wedding, the last thing Kathleen needs is to stumble across a dead body in the library. What ensues is a failed art heist. What starts as a failed art heist turns murder investigation in this light-hearted, cozy mystery featuring your favorite clever cats, Owen and Hercule, as they must track down the culprit before anyone else gets hurt.
You're sleeping with cats?
Along the way. Read Alike, Scaredy Cat by Sophie Ryan, which, fun fact, in finding Read Alikes, I realized the 10th installment in the Second Chance Cat Mystery Series, Scaredy Cat, is a perfect read alike to Forever After, as it is written by the same author under a different pseudonym. So Sophie Kelly and Sophie Ryan are the same person, which makes it a perfect read alike. Second Chance Store.
I'm like, what am I? I'm like, this sounds so similar. I'm like, they have the same name.
Secondhand store owner Sarah Grayson decides to take an afternoon off from her store, Second Chance, and joins her friend Detective Michelle Andrews on a spring house tour. What was supposed to be a fun afternoon turns into a murder mystery when a ghost hunter is found dead on the tour. Which one is ghost? With the help of her rescue cat Elvis and her trusty friends, Sarah is determined to solve the case in this clever and cozy mystery with likable characters that will compel you to come back again and again, whether it's to Sophie Ryan or to Sophie Kelly. Our next one, Booked on Murder by Allison Brooke. I just checked it in. It is on the shelf if you want it. Librarian Carrie Singleton is back and ready to tie the knot in the 8th and final installment of the Haunted Library Mystery Series. You heard that right, it's the end of the series. When a body is found on the lawn of her wedding venue, Carrie must race to find the killer and tie up the investigation before the big day. Filled with romance, twists and turns, and characters that will capture your heart, this is a bittersweet ending to the delightful and enchanting Haunted Library Mystery Series.
Our library.
I agree, but I'm not the one you have to convince, so.
The Banned Books Club is the newest by Brenda Novak. Main character Gia does not get along with her family, but her sister Margot calls upon her and she pleads with her. She says she really needs some help. She talks Gia into returning home to Iowa. Gia had a tumultuous time growing up, and she had swore when she was younger she would never return. But Margot is burnt out, and Margot's been caring for their needy mother. Gia's homecoming is not welcoming. Not a lot of faces are happy to see her. There's the locally beloved teacher that she got blamed for getting fired. He's still around, so that's great. But luckily, the banned book club she started is still around. Her sister Margot up and leaves town unexpectedly, and Gia needs to figure out how to get by and help her mother. She needs to figure out more about herself and her truth, and figure out this town that she feels rejected her. It made me think of Zevins, the story Life with A.J. Figuri, about a widowed bookshop owner who's not beloved by his community, but an unexpected business contact starts his life anew. And also check out one of Brenda's previous works. This one's going to focus on Tallulah's back in town. Tallulah returns home after her aunt passes to sort and clean the aunt's farmhouse. No one has forgiven her for leaving her well-liked fiance at the altar. She will also get to know herself and her community a little better. Next one, this one's a debut, Bright I Burn. It takes place in 13th century Ireland, where a woman with power is a woman to be feared, is the tagline on it. Young Alice sees her mother suffer under traditional constraints of family, and she vows never to suffer the same fate. She finds a trade that she's good at, and she begins making money. As her wealth and stature grow, so do the rumors that follow her personal life. Local gossip and resentment leads to big accusations. It's inspired by the first person in Ireland to have been condemned as a witch. Bright I Burn gives voices to women lost to history who dared to try and find their own space in a man's world. Made me think of last year's Manning Tree Witches. This one takes place in 1643, and a witch finder general moves to town. And very quickly the locals begin pointing fingers at each other and accusing each other of black magic when things go wrong. Hall's The Familiars takes place in 1612. Young Fleetwood Shuttleworth is pregnant, and she has not had any successful pregnancies yet. She is eager to produce an heir, and a secret letter comes to her and sends her reeling. Fleetwood meets a young woman in the woods who promises to help her, but eventually they'll have to help each other.
This is a thriller that comes out the 24th of the month. Stephanie Roble is the author. And the Hitchcock Hotel is a sprawling Victorian house in the White Mountains that is dedicated to the master of suspense. Alfred Smettle is the owner. He hosts around-the-clock film screenings and has decorated each room with movie props and memorabilia. He invites his college film club friends for a reunion, and no Hitchcock set is complete without a body. The read-alikes I chose for this one were her previous from 2022, This Might Hurt, Sisters, Cynicism, and Secrets drive this dark thriller. And then Shiver by Allie Reynolds also is a reunion weekend story where things go better, less than expected. How about that? I was gonna say better than expected, I definitely. Okay.
It's kind of hard to see, but it's called Entitlement by Rumaan Alman. There are things Brooke wants that she cannot buy. She desperately wants a sense of purpose. Her job assisting an octogenarian billionaire giving away his fortune should be filling some of those goals, should be making her feel more purposeful. But it's less than transformative. In Entitlement, that was set up for myself, this book said it considered questions about need, worth, race, privilege, philanthropy, and obsession. Reviews suggest it is provocative and propulsive, and it's about a great take on modern America for readers that like a building story and unpredictable characters. Check out the author's previous book, Leave the World Behind. It was turned into a Netflix movie. It's a suspenseful tale of two families forced together in unpredictable circumstances. It's full of tension, and it starts on a dark and stormy night. A dark and stormy night. I'm sorry, I didn't drink something. The Other Black Girl was also turned into a TV show, different company, I'm not sure. This is a smart thriller set in New York City publishing. Main character Nella is sick of how she's getting treated. She's the only person of color at her job. Until one day, when she gets what she thinks she most wants, and another black employee starts working there. Things do not go as expected.
Passion Tide by Monique Rafi is a mystery that's set on St. Colibri, a small island in the Caribbean. Another dead female, a murdered musician. This is the last straw for the women of St. Colibri. 4 women come together from unlikely, different, desperate places and form an alliance. They join forces and find new ways to keep one another and the vulnerable women of their island home safe. I'm going to read you a quote by Julia Alvarez. She says, Rafi is channeling a woman's story, so deep and old it feels foundational to who we are and can be. Raw and beautiful and in your face, this novel is a liberating read. I guess the subject of murdered and disappearing women is very problematic in some Caribbean countries, and she is from Trinidad. So, read-alike, Cemetery of Untold Stories, Julia Alvarez. That is about a an American writer who inherits this land in the Dominican Republic, and she turns it into a cemetery, and it is a cemetery for her untold stories, the stories that she has decided not to develop or not to have published. And interesting
That's a good book.
yeah, interesting things happen as a result of her decision to her and to her island neighbors. And then Monique Rafi's previous book, The Mermaid of Black Conch, is a story about a lonely fisherman who falls in love with a cursed mythical creature.
Rejection. It's a novel told in short story form, so take that for what it is. We're going to get to know a wild cast of characters. They're going to deal with their own rejections and realizations, and comic tragedy is going to befall them when they start meeting on a popular dating app. Well, so it's one of those we'll get to see both sides of the story kind of thing. Bold, funny, dark. It's a commentary on modern relationships and how it's very complex to figure out yourself, let alone another relationship. Our various characters find themselves rejected by friends, lovers, society, and even themselves. And reviews say that these stories may make some readers uncomfortable, but it is brilliantly written and unique and original, with both raving and cringing reviews. So I, of course, had to get some raving and cringing other books. Really anything by Chuck Palahniuk sounds similar to me, but this one is a collection of stories promising to disturb and delight. He often takes inspiration from unpopular pieces of life and culture, such as drugs in high school prep schools, a son that tells an off-color joke at his dying funeral, at his father's funeral, and including a Fight Club prequel short story. Another Chuck Klosterman, here's his series of stories. And this one also promises to be wild and weird and original. The author shined light on things that are dark with an entertaining twist. Stories include a woman interviewing a hitman to take out a hit on her husband, a government team investigating why coin flips no longer result in 50-50 results, and a couple considering a new medical procedure to transfer the pain of childbirth from her to him.
If only.
I like the little skeleton thing on the cover of that one.
Let's be cute.
Very
that.
original.
And it's like, I just like the cover. Okay, so we got, this is a wild slide. I'm just gonna prepare you. It's a wild slide. So, Space Oddity by Catherine Valente. It's coming out on September 24th. It is, you guessed it, sci-fi. It is the second installment of Valente's wildly entertaining space opera series. The first being titled Space Opera, with a very shiny disco ball on the front. And in this second installment, they take us back to the greatest contest in the galaxy, the Metagalactic Grand Prix. Stay with me through this. Part gladiatorial contest, part beauty pageant, part concert extravaganza, and last but not least, part continuation of the wars of the past. Join fabulous out-of-this-world protagonists Des, Mira, and Lou as they go on a tour of the galaxy and try to save the world. Sharpen your blade, put on your best dress, and grab the microphone for this epic sequel filled with adventure and humor. So if you're a big sci-fi person, this is going to appeal to you. I would recommend reading the first space opera, or else you might be a little out of the loop. Our first read alike is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is the beginning of a series. When Rosemary Harper joins the motley crew of the aging Wayfarer, she has her doubts, but can't turn down the opportunity to explore the galaxy aboard the crazy and chaotic Wayfarer. When the crew is offered the job of a lifetime that will help them remain comfortable for years to come, Rosemary must learn to rely on this ragtag group to survive. It is a novel of adventure and found family, filled with unique characters that you just want to wrap in a hug. Our next one, which you pointed out, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. It is currently checked out, I believe, so you can't get it today, but you could put it on hold. It all starts with a bad day for main character Arthur Dent when he learns his home is about to be demolished to create a freeway. In an ironic twist, Arthur meets his friend Ford Prefect, a hitchhiker of the galaxy, who sweeps him away into space before Earth can be destroyed to make way for an intergalactic freeway. What are the odds? Together, this dynamic duo travel the galaxy, making friends and asking life's important questions along the way. This is an absolutely absurd novel overflowing with humor and wit and silly characters that will leave you laughing out loud. And I want to say Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a movie, correct? I haven't heard of it. I don't know if it's good or bad compared to the book, but I know it's out there.
It is, but if you're gonna read The Hitchhiker's Guide, you need to read the complete one, because it's also got so long and thanks for all the fishes and other books with it that carry on.
But yes, if you like space operas, if you like wild space journeys, if you like, crazy sci-fi movies like that, this is the type of book for you. If you like Fifth Element, you will like these books.
Speaking of oddities, this one's called If I Were You. Amy and Finn have been dating for 2 years and they love each other, they think. They can't read each other's minds, but that's gonna change over one wild wedding weekend. Amy's older sister is nervous about her big wedding. Amy's, of course, the can-do go-to bridesmaid. Amy's frustrated, Finn is not helping. They're arguing. There's a thunderstorm and lightning strikes the ground between them, and when they both wake up, they have switched bodies. Forced to attend the glamorous wedding and all the things that go with it, all the little parties, is getting really difficult as they are each other. They have to attend all these different events and keep up with the things that they're saying and remember points of their relationship. Secrets are being revealed. When they switch back, will their relationship survive? Made me think of Dial A for Aunties, because another hilarious but unlikely situation where there's a big wedding and a body is discovered and the aunties need to come to the rescue. Also, skip to the end, I've not read before but sounds interesting. Amy has special powers. When she kisses someone, she can see how the relationship will end. She's tried everything in her mind to change it and avoid it, and for years she's not been dating, she's mostly given up. One drunken wedding weekend, she remembers a different ending, but isn't sure with whom. The book Lover's Library takes place in Nottingham, England. Widow Emma and her daughter Olivia have been getting along okay, but now widow Emma needs to find a job. It's wartime England and there are restrictions on how much widows with children can work. And she's limited on her job opportunities. Finally, she finds the local library is hiring and she talks to the manager into letting her work. As the threat of work darkens, Emma sends her daughter to live in the countryside. They've never been apart before and Emma's really struggling. She forms unlikely friendships with some friends, coworkers, and neighbors, or with some neighbors and coworkers that become friends. Spoiler alert, I'm sure. The job does come with difficulties and mysteries and returning memories. Later in the book, Emma and Olivia will struggle to be reunited, and they will be forced to rely on their community and the power of the library and hope. Made me think of these two, both newer books this year. Kate Quinn's The Briar Club takes place in 1950s Washington, D.C. Everyone at the Briar Club, which is a home for widows, I think, keeps to themselves until the mysterious and lovely Grace moves in. She's going to reunite all the women. Juliet, the underground library. Juliet starts at the Bethnal Green Library. She has a very difficult summer working there in 1940s London. Her safe place in the library is compromised and damaged by a bomb, and she moves the library underground. Speaking of libraries,
we're going to start talking about nonfiction now. Book and Dagger is scheduled to come out on the 24th of September. This is the account of the formation of the OSS, which was formed very quickly. World War II, it became apparent that we were going to have some more advanced spy circuitry. And the ranks of the OSS were filled with academics, literature professors, librarians, and historians to perform the undercover ops and complex investigative work. So Elise Graham, the author of this book, uses personal histories, diaries, and declassified OSS files to tell their story, how they laid the foundation for modern intelligence, and how their experiences transformed American higher education when they returned, which sounds to me like the truly fascinating part.
Yeah.
And we're just about maybe a generation or a generation and a half probably removed from direct contact with those folks. So I'm actually very excited to read this one. Kirkus Reviews describes it as a book for bibliophiles with a taste for cloak and dagger work. And it did remind me immediately of Wise Gals. Did you all read Wise Gals? You've read that? What an amazing, amazing, amazing story that is. I avoided it because I hate the title, because I don't like the word gals. But I did finally read it, and my goodness, talk about unsung heroes. Yeah, a fantastic book. A lot of history in that book. And Double Crossed is another one that is by Matthew Avery Sutton. It is the story of missionaries who spied for the U.S. during World War II and how entwined the roles of spycraft and faith became. An account of the spiritual stakes of World War II. And I'm guessing, I have not read that, but I'm guessing we could probably see a lot of what's happening in the world today that's coming to fruition in all parts of the world that maybe began during World War II. We're at a very interesting point in history. The next one is Connie. That's a memoir by Connie Chung. This is a memoir that shines with Chung's wit, her sharp insights, and her deep understanding of people. She describes her broadcast career as an Asian American woman in a white male-centered world. This is Connie Chung like you've never seen her. The good, the bad, and the ugly. She says nothing is off limits. If you remember her from her broadcast days, she was quite charming and wonderful and effective. And Rita Lights are two other trailblazers in the broadcasting world. Robin Roberts, Everything's Got Something, and The Rule Breaker, The Life and Times of Barbara Walters. Of course, she was the original in broadcasting. Next, a book I'm going to love talking about this one. What If We Get It Right? Visions of Climate Futures by Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson. This is encouraging us to picture a transformed and replenished world through essays, conversations, data, poetry, and art. Many contributors share their vision with grace, humor, and humanity. This may be one of those things that is perfectly timed. Maybe we could use a little more of this right now. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson also contributed to a book we just have the ebook version called All We Can Say, but it was sort of brought this concept to fruition, this idea of rather than just gloom and doom science and the worst case scenarios, how about if we communicate about this very complex situation through art and poetry and essays and different ways, because we all respond to different types of communication. And Rita Likes that are in our library. H is for Hope by Elizabeth Colbert. That is essays and stories we tell about the future, a unique examination of our changing world. And also Our Fragile Moment by Michael Mann. This is how lessons from Earth's past can help us survive the climate crisis. Climate scientist Mann provides knowledge required to appreciate the gravity of our current situation while enabling individuals to take action. So again, it has that element of hope. It's not just heavy and dark.
And you're finishing out with me for the day. So we have The North Women by Heather Pringle, and it's out on September 10th. It is considered Viking history. It is the untold stories from the other half of the Viking world. The North Women delves into the history of Vikings, focusing on the women in the background that were forgotten in history. Ignored over the years, Viking women were more than just wives, mothers, and homemakers. They were warriors, traders, artisans, explorers, landowners, and so much more. Ambitious and compelling, this well-researched narrative brings to light some of the most captivating figures within Viking history. This book will appeal to readers interested in history, Vikings, and specifically women that have been left behind. Our first read-alike is The Dark Queens by Shelley Hooper. It is the true remarkable story of two determined women in the early Middle Ages, Spanish princess Brunhild and sister-in-law Fredegund, hopefully I said that right, and how these strong women reigned over vast realms for decades, changing the history of Europe. These women have been vastly misrepresented, and it is Puhak's goal to set the record straight and prove that women can transform the world. Next is Normal Women by Philippa Gregory. She's so perfect for this. We do actually have this book on the shelf. I remember it being on the full shelf the other day. If there was any Philippa Gregory I was going to read, it would probably be this, just because she is great at historical fiction, so I would imagine her nonfiction is just as good. The number one New York Times best-selling historical novelist, Philippa Gregory, is back at it again with her newest nonfiction novel that covers 900 years of the roles women have played in our history. Well-researched, as always, and spanning from the Black Death in 1348 all the way to 1992, we see women in the Civil War, women as highwaywomen, pirates, miners, and ship owners. Not a single woman is left behind, as Gregory makes clear that normal women make history. Burdened by Ryan Leibenthal. It's out on September 10th, and it is an economic commentary. It is a sweeping, urgent, and necessary investigation of the student loan debt crisis in America. In a world where college costs more than ever and it is worth less than it used to be, an entire generation of students are struggling to thrive and survive, drowning under debt that makes it extremely difficult, if not nearly impossible, to buy homes, get married, have children, etc. Leibenthal details how the debt crisis hits women and people of color harder, and that we are overdue for some change within our broken system. The first read-alike is Crushed, and I would say that Burdened and Crushed definitely can go hand in hand. Just maybe depends on what type of reading you're into. In this reader-friendly, easy-to-understand guide, Linton focuses on American universities, graduates, and the history of student debt. Crushed explains in detail what prospective students and parents should know before, during, and after enrolling in college, and what steps should be taken to graduate on time with your degree and with as little debt as possible. Filled with details and advice, this would be a great read for the first-time college student or parents with questions about the student debt crisis. The next read-alike is The Debt Trap by Josh Mitchell. It is an NPR Best Book of 2021 that details the devastating account of student debt in America. A vivid and compelling narration of the student debt crisis beginning in 1981 that has led to a total of $1.5 trillion in debt. He also goes on to show the alarming parallels of the housing crisis in the early 2000s and how student debt has affected families and future generations to come. A well-researched and honest narrative for anyone wanting to understand the central economic issue of today's generation. These books would definitely be helpful, like I said, for anyone with children going into college in the next few years, parents with children in college, because there's always money-saving tips that can pop up. And prepare the tissues. If you check these books out, be careful, because they hurt to read. The Story of a Heart by Dr. Rachel Clark is out on September 10th. This is medical nonfiction. The heartwarming, bittersweet, and inspiring true story of two families linked together by one heart. When 9-year-old Kiara Ball suffers a terrible car accident that leaves her brain traumatically injured, her parents make the hard decision to donate her organs. 9-year-old Max Johnson has been fighting for his life the past year, waiting for a heart when they get the news. He will get a heart at a great cost to another family. What ensues is a beautiful relationship between two families, two mothers, and one heart that changed everything. Can you hear my voice back? The next one, okay. The Heart That Works by Rob Delaney. It has received a multitude of awards and recognition when it came out in 2022. It was the New Yorker Best Books of 2022, USA Today Best Books of 2022, New York Post Best Books, and New York Times Editor's Choice. So if that says anything, it's a very emotional read that is heavily recommended. Rob Delaney's memoir is intimate and heart-wrenching as he talks about what happens when you lose a child after he loses his own 2-year-old son to a brain tumor. This is a father's unflinching and honest exploration of his son's beautiful life, from the good days to the bad, to the grief and the rage, and the unstoppable love one feels when suffering a major loss. Last but not least, A Life Everlasting by Sarah Gray, following in this sad theme. No mother should be faced with this decision, but when Sarah Gray received the heartbreaking news that her unborn son, Thomas, was diagnosed with anencephaly, terminal condition, she decides to give his life and death meaning. Thomas's organs would be used for research purposes, and Sarah joins him for this journey, traveling to scientific research facilities all over the country, wanting to know what is going to happen. Learning about the world of organ donation and medical research brought peace to Sarah during a difficult time. Maybe A Life Everlasting can do the same for someone else who is experiencing the loss of a child and make them feel more comfortable with organ donation. And that is a large portion of all three of these stories, is the importance of organ donation for all ages, and where that research goes. Sorry, I know it's sad. You look out.
We'll be back next month.
We'll be back with more mystery, crime, and sadness.
Thank you, everyone.
September 10th is our next Books is Focus.
And we're closed on Monday.